Hi, everybody. It's Jon Kelderman. I'm an agent with American Republic Insurance Services out of Des Moines, Iowa. I actually work out of Waukee, Iowa, focus on primarily Western Polk, Dallas, and Guthrie counties, although I can help people anywhere. And my topic for today is really called "Ensuring Your Legacy." The simple steps or basic steps to estate planning, and really we want to create kind of a checklist that you can follow. This is not the end all. This is going to be a fairly brief summary, but I really wanted to create something that a lot of people can use. I mean, there's a conception, and I would call it a misconception, that estate planning. I mean, listen to how it sounds. Estate planning. I mean, it sounds like I need like a mansion and a butler and servants, right? No, that's not what we're talking about. Basically, anybody who has any kind of legacy, if they have any kind of material that they're trying to leave behind, whether it's financial, real estate, or even just knickknacks, you really need some kind of organization as to how you want things to leave. And also the directives for your end of life are going to be a big component of that as well. So let's get right into it. I guess, first of all, and I kind of already defined it, I guess, as, what is estate planning? And estate planning really is just the knowledge that you're not going to exist forever, that you will, let's die, pass away, however you want to sugarcoat it. And also, there might be a time where you're mentally incapacitated while you're on this earth and that you need help running things. And that's really a big part of what we're trying to prevent, and that's what we're trying to do. As far as professionals that are typically involved with this, I would break it down into three different groups. First, being the legal profession. That's a real important part of this. Wills, by the way, for people that want to do this on a budget, there are some online options for wills. There's some software options for creating wills. They are valid. If you have a lot going on and you have a lot at stake, I would not necessarily go with an online will. But for somebody that just wants something that's real simple, real basic, they don't have a lot that they're leaving behind. I think that can be a real part of it. And then I would say a second professional that maybe not everybody's going to have one of these, but it's good to have. Certainly, if you do have some assets, and that's a financial planner. And then finally, and this is kind of the area I come into, is insurance professionals, whether it be life insurance, health insurance, or Medicare type plans and long-term care plans. You need that professional as well. And I'm going to add something too, that one thing that I found in my experience is that, and this really is a big deal. So I really want to not go over this lightly, is that these different parts of the planning process and these different professionals all have different objectives. And I think especially when it comes to financial planning versus insurance professionals, there's really two different things they're trying to do. Remember, a financial planner is somebody who is going to help you grow your wealth, whereas an insurance professional is somebody that's going to protect your wealth. One thing that I've ran into is that sometimes when I suggest a long-term care plan, the financial planner will say, well, wait a minute, that money could be spent and earn interest and we could self-insure. The problem is that insurance is to insure against losing large sums of money. And although that money could be earning interest, it doesn't do you any good if you don't have the money right when you need it to insure against those needs. So that's something that needs to be considered. I think I see insurance professionals try to be financial planners. That's just as bad. People that are real annuity heavy. I think annuities have their place, especially in over 65. But somebody that's just really pushing that to too high of a degree, that's just as bad. So it goes both ways where sometimes I think we need to stay in our own lanes and do what we do best. And what I do is insurance, and you're going to notice that this talk focuses more heavily on the insurance part of it. So the basic parts of an estate plan are, and kind of think of the terms of the financial professionals you're going to have involved, it really makes sense. Is you're going to have one thing you're going to want to have is of course a will. We've kind of touched on that a little bit. And then along with that, you may have trusts built that are and trusts usually in this form are usually going to be trusts that maybe protect your wealth from Medicaid if you do go into a long-term care type instance, and then powers of attorney. And kind of with that powers of attorney comes the advanced directives as well. So power of attorney, of course, is having somebody there that can help you with your decisions. And this is really important to have somebody in mind and have somebody probably designated to make decisions for you when you're unable to make those decisions. And, you don't really need full-on dementia or Alzheimer's disease to really need that. As far as the advanced directives, I think this is really important as well, because we all have a thought of the way we want to extend our life and or not extend our life. And the best time to make that decision is when you're sane and things are going relatively well. I'm not going to go into the actual instance, but I remember reading of a story of somebody who didn't do that. And once they got to that point, the survival instinct took over, and they really, their family had noticed that this person would not have made the decisions they were making at that time had they made the decision before they got to that point. So I think it's real important that you do that at a time where you feel like you have a mature grasp on what that's all about. And then I guess the final part of this we're going to get into is the different ways that we can actually protect your assets. Remember that especially early on, and especially when you're going through your financial professional, you're growing your assets, you're growing your net worth. You're doing that with usually real estate, with investments. If you don't have real estate investments, you might be just trying to stow something away. And we want to make sure that you have the health care and needs that you need when that time comes. And we can really do that through insurance. There's a couple types of insurance. I break it down into 3 different categories. Number 1 would be a traditional long-term care plan. And the reason I'm calling it traditional is this is the type where you usually do it, probably start it maybe in your 40s or even earlier, and you invest into it for a long time. It is purely insurance for that when you get to that age when you need care. These plans can or cannot have their premiums go up. So there can be an inflationary part of it where the premiums will go up as you age. Some of them don't, depending if you have like a inflation protection. That might be something you really want to look into. Traditional long-term care would cover 100% of anything that could happen. Nowadays, really, it's not as much that. They usually have a set limit that they're going to limit what they'll cover. Then the second part of it I would go with is just a long-term care that's either in an annuity or life insurance. And basically these can be done actually later on in life. And these are nice. They really, they do a great job of protecting. What I like about them is if you don't use them at all, they actually, you'll get that your descendants or your survivors will get those monies when you designate beneficiaries on those plans. So it's not like it's ever wasted money or spent money if you don't use it. And then finally, I would say life insurance comes into this also in another way that you can use life insurance in your later years. And typically, it's going to be for final expense. It's going to be maybe if you have real estate debt or some kind of debt you want to have paid off. And there are some instances where life insurance does come into play. I do think, this is a personal opinion, I think there's people in my industry that would disagree with me on this. I do think life insurance has its place, although I don't think it's the first go-to I go to, just because I think there's other ways to protect assets. But I certainly think that you don't want to leave a spouse or what have you with certainly any debt that they're going to be burdened with. Um, Getting back to the other forms of life insurance, the one that I think, or the other forms of long-term care insurance, I think the one that I'm the most excited about, that's a recent add-on to the company I represent, that we started offering, is basically, it's a long-term care annuity. And in fact, I'm in the process of getting one set up for myself. These things are incredible. You basically, you do have to obviously have money set aside or in a 401k, because this is an annuity product, right? And basically, you take a portion of the money that you've put in a 401k, and you convert it to an annuity that has a long-term care rider. The beautiful thing about this is that day one coverage, you're going to be covered for any long-term care expenses. Again, the financial planner will always say, well, hey, we can self-insure. We take that money, we put it away for this amount of time. You're going to have, X, Y, Z. This company does, or this plan does bear interest. And by the way, annuities are paying very well right now because of the high interest rates and the inflationary period we're in. And they go on, and then they grow as time goes. So they really have kind of an inflation protection as well. You can set them up for as much as you want. They can also pay for either in-home care or facility care. The one thing that I've learned in this industry, or in this space, is that if you have a plan, and if you have a long-term care plan in place, you do a better job of rationing funds. I know that sounds kind of counterintuitive. You'd think you've had it insured, so you're going to spend. But what happens is, with people, when they don't have a plan, is, it goes on the kids. The kids have jobs, they have everything going on, and there's no plan in place, and they end up just, let's send mom to a place. Obviously they do this with care and love, but it's not as thought out, and there's not that, hey, listen, we have a plan in place. We can have somebody come to mom's house or dad and mom's house for a number of years before we actually send them to a facility, and the money will go further if they do that. So just a thought there. And I would say, finally, along those same lines too, is that one option that will eventually happen too is that, if you have no plan in place, and if you have no insurance in place, and if there's no savings in place, the one thing that will happen is everybody will be covered by Medicaid. So Medicaid will, when you draw down your assets, or if you don't draw down your assets, for instance, they'll basically take the assets from your home after you pass away, but Medicaid will come in and they will put you in a care plan. And sometimes what they'll do is they'll let you stay in your home and have somebody come into your home. They actually really like to do that. Now, you will have to, if you don't have a trust in place, you will have to release that. You basically, they'll have to sell that home and then use it to pay for any long-term care expenses. So that will draw out that asset. So it is a good idea, I think, to have, insurance in place for long-term care. And I would say, also to maybe have a trust in place as well. So if you can use both of those, it's a nice way to insure against. Hopefully you won't even need the trust part of it. Hopefully the long-term care plan will come in and take care of it. But if nothing else, hopefully at least you can preserve some of your assets for your descendants. Again, this is a Jon Kelderman. I'm with American Republic Insurance Services in Des Moines, Iowa, and would love to help. If you have needs, give me a call, or if you have any questions, I would love to sit down, talk about your current medical needs, as well as what your long-term care needs in the future, and any maybe life insurance or other insurance needs that you have, and love to help. You have a great rest of your day. Bye.